so much of our environment, our cultural forces, society, the people we interact with just influences the way that we perceive money and the way that we spend money. And, that article specifically was about kind of women's role when it came to money, and how so much of the cultural conditioning around women and money are really just designed to not have women take autonomy over their money. So, you take something like a Tradwife, this kind of desire of like, I'm getting super burnt out from capitalism. I just want to like go on the homestead and, raise a bunch of kids and, take care of a house and relax. And like, again, and I said this in my newsletter, totally fine if that's what you want to do. But at the same time, there is this undercurrent of like financial dependency and like the actual role that plays. And, I think especially in today's climate, it's being a Tradwife or being in a traditional kind of home is being painted as like this kind of financial freedom for women, when in a lot of ways it's not at all. And I think the Girlboss is kind of quite similar in that you're still kind of operating under the like kind of guise of capitalism and the desire to like maximize everything you do and make as much money as possible. And, it kind of feeds into what I see also a lot in today's world of what I call like the bimbofication of money.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen those ads like on Instagram that's like, it's time to invest like a girl, like, like come join us, like we're just girls who love to invest, like like it's like girl math. And it's like, oh my god, like this is the same problem. Like it's again, it's like the infantilizing of women and this idea that women like need permission from other people, specifically men, to get involved in investing and manage their own finances, or they need someone else to save them, or they're like not smart enough or proactive enough to really take advantage of their finances. So they need to either depend on another man to make all the money, or they need to like girl boss their way to the sun. So again, it's like very interesting to think about like these cultural forces that shape how we perceive money, because that affects kind of your entire life. If you're constantly feeling like, oh, I'm just a girl, like I don't need to learn how to invest, or like, investing is for men, that directly affects your wealth over time. Yeah.
Right. I can definitely see how passionate you are about this topic, and I'm like, I can, I'm like 10,000 kilometers away, and I can feel the energy coming through the screen. So, going back to the trad wife concept, is that even like something that is like societally feasible these days? Because for you to rely on just your husband for one source of income to actually support the whole family and build that family, these days in this current economy, that's basically impossible. You're basically trying to aim for a life. You're basically trying to find a husband from a wealthy family, which is, statistically very low. And it's,
Yeah.
I doubt people are actually succeeding in being trad wives. So
Yeah. And what's
I don't
so
know.
ironic about that, sorry, no, is one, again, this also feeds into I don't know if you've ever seen like also social media posts that are like, where to find a rich man in this. And it's like, and again, this always drives me nuts, because, someone's net worth has almost no bearing on like who they are as a person. And so like,
Right.
even if you are making a lot of money, you could have a ton of other issues. You could even be bad at you could be bad at money and make a ton of money. Like there are plenty of people making 200K living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it really has no bearing on how you actually manage your money. But what the other really, really ironic part of the whole Tradwife thing, if you think about the very popular social media creators that model a Tradwife lifestyle, they a lot of times are the primary breadwinners in their households, because they are doing content creation as a career. So they actually are making a lot of money and having a career. So in a way, that whole perception of like, oh, I'm going to be a Tradwife and like, look at what they're doing. Their lives look so peaceful. They're working. They are working. It just like, it might not look like, the way you would imagine, somebody normally working, but that is really what they're doing. So again, it's like, it all feeds into this idea of social media where like, psychologically our brains, if you're seeing the same thing over and over and over again on social media, sometimes it becomes hard to know what is actually fact and what is fiction. And it is so easy to fake a life online. It is so easy to fake wealth online. And I think a lot of people, don't always realize how much of, a rich person's lifestyle that they see online is funded by credit card debt. I don't know, funded by like working 80 hours a week. Like you just don't know. And so again, like our reference point for what is considered normal has drastically shifted over time because of social media. I think there was a survey that came out that was basically saying like Gen Z, in order, for them to feel financially successful, they said they needed to be making like almost $600,000 a year, and they needed a net worth of
Oh
$10 million, or
my
like
God.
$9.5 million, which is, we all know on this call, not feasible for the vast majority of people. Like it is very, very unlikely. I mean,
How?
great if that happens to you. Very unlikely if that is going to be kind of your lived reality, especially in kind of the younger years of your life. So again, that reference point, because you think that, that skews how you perceive, one, your own money, even if you're
Mhm.
doing relatively fine, and how you perceive the larger economy and like what you think is feasible. And again, this gets back to this idea that I write a lot about of like, the number is not the point. Money is a tool to give us the life that we want. And $9.5 million might not actually be the amount of money you need to live a good life. It could be way below that. And so again, I think people anchor themselves to these numbers or to these material items as like, okay, this is when I will have achieved happiness and success. And it's so divorced from their actual values and what they actually want to get out of life. And so that's why there's this continual disconnect that people feel with their money, because they're like, I'm making money, but I'm not actually happier, because
Right.
a lot of times they're not spending it in an intentional way that aligns with their values.